Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Spilling the Tea in Studio D. Do you think we need to get rid of the tea part or not?
Are we going to have tea?
No, it's that's what the young hipsters are calling.
I don't know. Will we have
when
tea?
they
You gave me water. Not tea.
That's true. We could probably make tea out of that, but spilling the tea, we did that kind of as a off the cuff funny because I
Because
know
he's old.
Well, you're right behind me. We stood and talked together. I'm just gonna leave it right there. But
Younger.
so spilling the tea, what's the details, all that stuff. So I don't know. So,
And teachers, educators, administrators. I thought it
And-
was pretty clever.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We were going to do all things educational, but we've stepped out a little bit, haven't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
So, well, enough about us.
Yeah.
Good morning. We have our guest here this morning. This is Julie Stough, Director of Student Teaching. That's all I could really bring up on your title because it's like license plate long over at Ouachita Baptist University. Glad to have you. So tell us a little bit, let's just start it this way. Talk to us about your journey through education and why you got into education.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm starting my 30th year of education, teaching and so forth, and started my career at Bismarck, actually.
Oh, wow.
As a kindergarten teacher.
Awesome.
Because that's all I ever wanted to do. and then the next year I moved to Jessieville and taught fourth grade. And that's where I had the pleasure of meeting Darren Beckwith because he worked at Jessieville as
Yep.
well.
Many years ago.
And during that time, there was a group of us that all decided we wanted to go back to school and
Right.
get our a master's degree. So that was before online learning.
Exactly.
And so we would jump in the car
Well,
at the end of the day.
I was thinking about that driving in this morning, and remember how excited we were when the summer school session went from 5 weeks to 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
And we're like, oh yeah, we can hang in there. But yes,
I can do this. And so there was a group of us that went back and forth to Arkadelphia, and we got our master's degree in administration. Darren was smart. He kept going. I kind of stalled out and didn't ever think that I would want to use that degree, but I always knew I wanted that card in my back pocket for just in case. And then I ended up getting a position at Jessieville as an assistant principal and did curriculum for them for a couple of years. And then the dream job became available at Lakeside, where it was for a principal for grades K1. And I was super excited because that's like my two favorite things all balled up into one. And so I got the position there at Lakeside, was also kind of happy about being closer to home, and moved my daughter there. And I spent 14 years at Lakeside. During that time, we also got the preschool program going.
right.
And so then it was a pre-K, K1 job, and just absolutely loved it. And in the year 2020, not knowing about COVID,
Yeah, right.
but I retired with my 28 years in education and thought that was it. And during that time, I had taught as an adjunct for Ouachita Baptist while I was principaling. And so I would drive up here at night, again, seems to be a pattern in my life, and taught adjunct for them. And so I was familiar with the staff at Ouachita, loved the school, loved the product that they created with their educators, loved having OBU students in my building as a principal. So after my retirement, we had the COVID season,
Right.
and Ouachita called me and told me that Sue Schultz was retiring, a lady that I hold in very high regard.
Right.
And they wanted to know if I wanted to possibly take her position. So I say I can never replace Sue Schultz,
Right.
but I can try to do the job. So I took the job as director of student interns, licensure officer, and then also teach a class 2 times a week called Teaching Exceptional Learners,
Okay.
Awesome.
as
So-
the Ouachita students would refer to as tell.
Tell, okay.
You know, Sue was my mentor
She's amazing.
when I was at Benton
Yeah.
as curriculum, and then
Bet
she
she's
mentored
disappointed
me.
about
Yeah,
that, so.
yeah. But you're right. She's amazing.
So
I
you're a
learned
Hot
lot.
Springs girl or Lake Hamilton, right?
I am,
If I
yep.
remember right.
That's
yeah.
correct.
So as far as education as a, you know, a career profession, was that something you always wanted to do? Is it in your family?
You know, I have a lot of family members who were educators. I fought it in the beginning because I thought, you know, my dad is also an accountant. So I thought, well, I'll go into business and accounting, and that's what I'll do because that's what I'll do. And then realized that I was really kind of bored in those classes, that I needed some human interaction. I needed some contact with people and some relationships. And so I was like, I'll just try some education classes, and it just felt so easy. It was the right thing to do. It was in my comfort zone, and I thrived in that role. So it just felt like what I was always supposed to do. I kind of fought it a little bit, and then so I think that's where going back and getting my administration degree, I think that's kind of, it's like the two things that I'm pretty good at kind of balled into one.
Well, and you hit an interesting point there, because I really do. I try to encourage anybody that has any kind of thought of being an administrator down the road, because exactly what you said earlier, you want to have that card in your pocket if the opportunity comes along. And, you know, I again, thinking back to when we would drive up during the summer, we had a pretty good group, but the thing I think that's missing out of a lot of that, whereas, you know, today they can do a lot of it online or go find it at some college across the country. But when we were doing it, I mean, we started out not only with our little group, but a group of folks with us. And I tell you, to me, that was probably one of the best experiences for me, because, you know, we were taking classes with people that lived it. And we were able to, you know, just sit there and visit with one another about what's working, maybe what's not working. So, I mean, that's the one thing I think above, you know, all else is probably the biggest thing missing. But I get it today. It's all about being online, being competitive. And so I guess it is what it is today. But I really enjoyed getting to, you know, get in there and just kind of, you know, visit with those folks.
Yeah, because I mean, I can think about just being up here in grad school and the connections that you make and the relationships. So I don't know. I'm more in favor of in person together than online, just because you build those.
Yeah. So
teams.
I was trying to think. In Jesseville, how long did you say you were there?
I was there for 12 or 13 years.
Right. So, what are some of probably the biggest changes outside the online stuff that you have experienced or worked through in your career?
I'd say probably one of the biggest things is just the way that you communicate with people. So communication itself has changed. I mean, we didn't have podcasts back then. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't, I mean, I can remember them bringing a computer into my classroom for me to use, you know, not for the students, you know, just, and that we had to learn how to check our email every morning, and we had to be disciplined to learn to do that, because we'd never had email before. We always went and checked our boxes, you know, and just communicating with parents, communicating with students, just communicating with the community. All of that has changed so greatly. And just the way that you receive information, the way you gather information. So to me, over all my years, that's the biggest thing that's changed.
Yeah, with you saying that, a grade book popped up in my head. You say that to a kid today, and he's going to look like your hair's on fire.
Right.
Yeah.
But just how cumbersome it was, number one. But you know,
Overhead projectors.
having to write all those.
We
test
did
scores down.
films.
Yeah,
Like I still flip the film.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, like my first year teaching at Malvern, I mean, we still had chalkboards. Everybody's like, huh?
And that you got whoever was excited who got to,
dust the
the erasers outside, because they got to go outside, and whoever got to
Exactly.
clean the chalkboard. Those are big chores to get to have.
all the while they're probably inhaling some kind of
Right.
poisonous
Yeah.
powder.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well, so I know the class size that you work with kind of ebb and flow. one of the things I know it's really on the forefront this legislative session. I think is going to be interesting, but it's the teacher shortage. Some people, they'll say, and by and large, it's usually folks that aren't in education to say, well, where's the proof? And I mean, it's easy, come on campus. Mm-hmm. So how do we make that? I don't know if appealing's the right word, but how do you think we need to go about getting those folks that are interested into education so we can fill those gaps? Any thoughts on that?
Oh, that's a hard question. I know one of the big topics right now that I read about is teacher pay.
Right.
So I think continuing to work on that to make it an appealing job.
Right.
I realize that teachers work 190 days out of, the calendar year. Right. And you have to take that into consideration. But I think giving them some incentives, even for if they're doing summer school or if they're doing, any type of year-round work for you, just to give them some incentives to want to be there.
Right.
I think would be appealing because there's a lot of really smart and talented people that don't choose education that you wish would just be in that classroom.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and I get the opportunity from time to time to speak to different people. But I tell teachers and administrators, lots of days we're our own worst enemy when we, like if, being a teacher and your son or daughter comes to you and say, I think that's what I want. Oh, you don't want to do that. Right. So, I mean, that's not very helpful.
Right. But don't you think that most people in whatever their career is sometimes say that to their children?
Right.
Like, yeah, like even if you're a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or whatever, like, I don't know if you're going to want to do that one, So I think just putting those positive spins on what great things what great benefits you get from education, and it just it's a very rewarding. I always say it's kind of a service type job, but because we serve sometimes more than we get, but
you're right.
And we often say too, hey, I know I was this way, but if I get into this profession, because I came to it, out of radio and television, and it was through that path that the good Lord said, okay, you've had fun, now you're going to do what I'm wanting to do. But we talk about if you change the life of just one student, and kind of starting out, I didn't know. I thought, well, that's good. Hopefully that'll happen one day. But it's obviously if you're doing the right thing, making the right decisions, setting the example, they come back to you.
Yeah.
So
it is so rewarding. It really is rewarding.
I think that's one of the things too that's been so exciting in this new role that I have at Ouachita is that I get to see that excitement and that love because I am working with students who are going to be teachers who are so excited about getting into the field.
Right.
And that gives me hope and encouragement for the future of education because I'm like, there are some fantastic people out here that are wanting to be in our field. And it's encouraging to me. It makes me feel good about our profession and what we do. And that, there's some great people out there with lots of energy that are ready to, tackle the challenges that are out there.
Yeah, because that's a huge impact. I mean, if you're encouraging and impacting all of your students at the college, and take it to all those kids,
Yes.
Well, and the thing is, when we get to talk to those folks too, whether it be in class or whatever. Well, for instance, I guess it was last spring maybe when we were over there. But the thing that's been kind of cool to watch is the types of questions that they ask. Probably I'd say a good 10, 15 years ago, I mean, you'd really have to pull questions out of them. But I mean, these folks hit the ground thinking, and that's what you want in it. And it could be anything from pay, a situation they may throw at you with a parent or this or that. And I think that's the other thing that's missing a little bit is basically keeping it real with those kids to say, hey, I mean, you're going to encounter some of that stuff, but hopefully through what we're doing now, you're going to be able to navigate that when you get there.
Right.
So, I was thinking, the shortage thing is going to come and go. And like I said, I think the best thing we can do is everybody get on the same page, and this group or that group, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think you'll run into anybody that would say teachers don't deserve a raise.
Right.
And so part of it, I get the other side a little bit if the money's not there, but I think we've got enough eyeballs on it now, maybe, hopefully, that we'll be able to see some money shifted that way. So.
Yeah. I think the other question that I get from students, or not question, but like a concern about, I don't know if I want to do it or not, is the whole school safety
Oh, right,
issue.
yeah.
Oh, right.
And not
Big one.
only just their physical safety, but their health as
Right.
well. And so I think that, just ensuring them or just showing them or equipping them with everything that they need to know that they're going to be safe in their work environment is pretty huge, because that, of course, has gotten lots of publicity lately, and we've had so much tragedy. So I think they do want to know, how are you going to keep me safe and that I'm going to be okay.
Right.
I mean, I think about that because when we started, that
We
really,
put rocks in the doors.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it didn't exist.
We didn't have
Yeah.
alarm
I mean,
systems. We didn't
We had
lock
no
the doors.
drills. We didn't
Yeah.
have lockdown drills, and
Right.
even being principal and just
Right.
having to do the drills, and even it's constantly in the back of your mind. Could a kid do this? Okay, let's build relationships with all these kids.
Right.
Especially the ones that are kind of alone. It's just things that we just didn't have to
really
think
of
about.
that
No,
before.
and the worst thing about that, I'm on a couple of school safety type committees, but it is, I think we get comfortable, we get complacent, and not a big deal, didn't lock the door today or whatever. But again, it's a true concern. I mean, obviously, when we all got in there, like I said, there wasn't any classes, any PD or anything on school safety, and so I guess the best way to handle that is just get as trained as you can. I can tell you the majority of our districts certainly have had some type of drill or had somebody that's in the know come and talk to them. But even, in that situation, it's just like any other situation. It's easy for us to sit here and say you got to remain calm, but it's different when you're going through that. I get that. But I hadn't thought about that, but that's a big one.
Yeah, it's just kind of, Sarah and I were talking about this the other day. It's like you really can't go anywhere without having that in the back of your mind.
Right.
Movies, church, school, grocery store.
And what I always would tell our teachers, and what I've told our student interns too, is that you can't stop that craziness from happening.
Right.
Although I would love to,
Me too.
but you can slow it down, and you
Right.
can think about preventative measures that you can
Right.
take so that it just slows it down if it does occur. That and that
Right.
the things to do, and of course it's going to happen. Not how you practiced it,
Right, yeah.
So to practice it in
Yeah.
various locations and scenarios and all that, not always be at the
Yeah,
same
be
time and
is-
things like that. Just to kind of just always have it in the back of your mind that it could happen, and what would I do, if it did, to slow it down,
Yeah.
and to protect our students.
Yeah, I
Right.
think you're right. Going in there and having several different scenarios.
Right.
Some of it, obviously, I think is going to kind of be, the basic type stuff when it comes to the training. But that's the thing I've noticed, too. They're starting to drill down a little deeper. There's people doing these, like simulating, with I guess what you would say blank guns or whatever. And I've talked to some folks that have gone through that training, and they said, man, I thought I would handle this training, but they said even the training was pretty tough.
It's intense.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be just another thing that I think the students have brought up that we would have never discussed when we
Right.
were
You're right.
in college, of like,
Yeah.
that could be a concern for them.
Right.
And that's a legitimate
Yeah,
concern.
no doubt. Well, the other thing that kind of, I think about this group of, or this generation, how they roll out, and they're so afraid to fail. I'll say it that way. And we spend a lot of time talking too about that. That's going to happen. And, as I like to call it, failing forward. But there are folks out there, that, so how do you get those folks motivated to take that chance?
Oh, as as a teacher myself, I like to just be real. So, you know, even when I'm standing in front of students teaching, or if I was ever in front of my staff, like I would just keep it real that I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And I think that that's what teaching is every day I should learn something too as a teacher.
Right.
You know, that I am not all knowing. I'm not, you know, the master of all things. And to show that I can, and show how to deal with it. So like the other day I was in front of them and I hadn't used a certain smart board, and I was like, can y'all show me how to do this? You know, and you know, they were kind of helping me through it. I said, see, you taught me something today, even though I'm the teacher, you helped me. And I said, and that's what it's all about, is us all helping each other, and to, you know, just show that we're all in this together and we're all going to work through it together, and that you don't have to know everything at the every time.
Right.
Well, and I think, you know, part of that is probably still going on today. I remember, even though I was a little older than your average first-year teacher, but feeling that intimidation, you know, of the quote-unquote good teachers. Not that they wouldn't help, but, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'll figure this out. But eventually, when I, you know, got the nerve up to say, hey, you know, this isn't working, got any suggestions? And they were more than happy to help. But it can be pretty intimidating.
Well, I think today, too, with the input of the professional learning communities in the buildings and in the districts, that it's kind of maybe taken the edge off of that a little bit, to show that we're working as a team, and that you're not just an autonomous person in your classroom with the door shut every day, that we are going to look at each other's information. We are going to help each other out. We are working together as a team. And so hopefully the use of the PLCs in the classroom has maybe kind of taken that down a little bit, to take a little bit of that fear of the first year teacher away of how am I supposed to come in here and know how to do everything? You know,
and I visited a school earlier with Desi. We went on a trip to like the Seattle area, and it was kind of cool how they had, like you're saying, the PLC teams. They did them at, you know, maybe the grade level, building level, and on out. But to sit there and to watch that principal, you know, be asked questions and ask questions of them. I mean, it was very apparent that they lean on each other. You know, like you said earlier, nobody's got all the answers. And so I think you're absolutely right. This PLC, what am I trying to say? Professional learning communities. I'll get it out in a minute. We have so many acronyms in education. It's some days we create new ones, I think.
We do.
But you know, Candace and I mean, we obviously, you probably too, you know, going through the training. And it's one of those things, for me, it was like, you know, they're absolutely right. And the thing was, at that time, I'm thinking we're all running 90 miles an hour at the time we kicked the door open at school. But for us to get away and get that training and to really think about it and bring that back has been very impactful, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's see. I guess, what do you think? Shall we hit her with a hard question?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You weren't prepared for this, were you?
You told me there wouldn't be any hard
Yeah.
questions.
Hey, I tell her all the time, you know, she'll want to bring in a question or something. I'm like,
See what
no.
time it
Yeah, exactly. So, that's right. Yeah. So
He doesn't let me prepare.
I do not.
It's
So,
okay.
but,
I'm getting used to it finally after about, how many episodes or
yeah,
whatever?
a bunch, I guess. So, first of all, if you weren't in education, I know you kind of spoke to it. What would have been your dream job?
Well, you know, I do have another side job that I do
Oh, yeah.
at Hot Springs Health and Fitness. So I do personal training and I do group fitness classes. So I get to kind of use my education
Right.
background, because I feel like I'm always teaching people and working
Right.
with people. But again, that's just another area that I've always enjoyed.
Right.
Because I kind of get to do both things that I like. I get to do fitness and I get to teach. And it has a similar feel to the teaching in the classroom, because I get to help people meet a goal. I get to see them improve their health. I get to see them, you know, just grow as humans. And so it's probably not that far away from education, but that's probably what I if I didn't do anything else, that's probably what I'd do.
That's
But you know,
Unless I was just like a professional athlete.
Hey,
You know, if I could
there
have
you
always
go.
worked on, becoming a professional athlete, I would have loved it.
So what would have been your sport of choice?
I probably would have done cycling.
I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
awesome.
did triathlon, so
Wow.
triathlon's my love, and I would have loved to have focused on all three of those sports, but cycling is really what I love to do.
Well, I typically stay away from things I can't spell, so I'm really good with triathlon,
Okay,
as
so
you can
Three
tell.
things,
Okay,
Three.
try. Yeah.
like
I got it.
not like TRY.
He could write a try.
That's what it would be for
It would be
me.
try.
Yeah, it would be try for sure.
So
Be like try not to die.
yeah,
Absolutely. Try not to sink.
that's awesome. So kindergarten teacher, kindergarten principal, got any crazy stories? I mean, like
Oh my goodness.
funniest.
Yeah, where do you start, right?
Yeah, or
goodness.
something that's
Gosh, there's just so many. I don't.
She's
know
like,
if
which
I've
one
got
do
a
I want to
kindergarten
pick?
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
do Jamie's
Yeah.
story that she.
Oh,
shared
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
One of my colleagues, former colleagues, sent a text yesterday saying that she went into the preschool classroom and a little girl lifted her skirt up and said, "Look, I've got on Spanx." So she said maybe 4 is the new 40. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Thanks
what,
for toddlers
that,
now.
right? I was like, we call those monkey bar shorts.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
when they became Spanx,
Yeah.
but maybe there's a new market that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Don't get him started on
But
Spanx.
let me tell you, working with small children is just a complete joy. I mean, they brought smiles, laughter, and love. Sometimes
Yes.
heartache to my day every day. But you just never know what's going to come out of their mouth. And I think the thing that I loved about kindergartners and first graders and my preschoolers too, is that they generally love life. Like
Oh, yeah.
they are
Right.
happy humans.
Mm-hmm.
One day I would open car doors every morning, at school, and that was always fun to greet the students at the door or opening their car doors and whatever. And there was a grandfather that was sitting on the bench, just kind of watching the whole thing. And, kids would get out, we'd high five, we'd hug, do all the things and talked about their, walk them to the door. And whenever I got finished, everything wrapped up, he said, that you look like you had a lot of, that was good, that you enjoyed that. And I go, I mean, how can you not enjoy that? I said, what other profession do you have where, let's say we had 600 students in the building that I helped run, that there were 600 generally happy people that you got to be with every day.
Right.
I was like,
Oh, yeah.
how many other professions do you have that many people who are really, like running to the door, like
Right.
excited to go?
Right.
I was like, what other job is there where
Right.
there's that many happy humans?
Yeah.
And so they were just fun. They, they just gave so much love, and they're just so.
No judgment.
just-
I mean, if we could all think
no.
like children sometimes,
No.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing I tell folks a lot. We have like 40, I don't know, I think we're around 41, 42 classrooms with ABC pre-K. And so, I mean, for sure, if I need a good pick-me-up, go in there and disrupt class. Yeah,
Yes.
like it back in the spring last year, we had a giveaway for the kindergarten class at Bryant. They won, and what they won was cupcakes. So we got to go in, high five, sugar them up, say, "Hey, deuces, we're out." So that poor
Well-
teacher's eyes was about like that. So,
Well,
but yeah,
you-
you're right. They're
yeah.
absolutely a great group.
And
to be
Julie
around.
was my kiddo's principal, and she was always just positive and happy, and it was,
I thought you were going to say she was your principal. I was like,
Stop, Darren.
I was
Leave
gonna-
that
hey,
alone.
I
I know.
totally could do that.
hey, I was going to
Julie,
say, yeah, you pushed her right on out of public education.
I'm old, but not that old.
yeah,
Sarah's not teen,
That's
so
true.
yeah,
Yeah, so-
There you go.
time flies.
Well, and to go back just a little bit on the health thing, sometimes I think teachers, administrators, everybody involved with school, that's one thing they probably in the back of their mind want to do. But I get it, when you get home and you're just like wiped out. So
Yeah.
and I'm at the age I try to get up at 4 and hit just do some cardio. And so I'm like tired at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if I stay late doing it, I miss out on a lot of stuff. So
Well, I think because that is another facet of my life, I always, I hope that I always encouraged the people that I worked with to take care of their mental and physical
Right.
selves, because if you don't do that, you're not going to be good for anybody.
That's right.
You know, so
Yeah.
I think that you know, that would also be something that I think that I don't know, schools or state or whoever could promote more, is just that work-life balance, and
Right.
just taking care of yourself, and making sure that you can be that best person whenever
Right.
you
Right.
step in the door every day.
Well, and that's the thing. We talk about this a lot, but you know, everybody's got something going on.
Right.
You know, and but like you said, when you hit the door with 600 happy humans,
You have to turn
yeah,
it off.
yeah,
Yeah.
you got to
Turn
drop
that off and turn this on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, but you're absolutely right. If you're not mentally well or physically well, I mean, they both obviously are a big part about you know, having that right attitude. And every day is not going to be a great day. I mean, they're all good days. Some are just gooder than others, I guess you could say.
That's right.
Gooder than others.
That's right.
Sound country right there.
So, what about your playlist? That's something else we always get intrigued about. And I'm sure you probably got a big one, or with doing the fitness thing.
You know, my playlist is huge because I do teach group fitness classes. I kind of have to stay current. So my drives back and forth to Arkadelphia are very helpful for
Right.
that, because they're like, "How'd you know about that song?" I'm like, "Well."
Yeah,
I also have a 26-year-old daughter who keeps me pretty current,
right.
because she's always posting about different songs. So I'll always, you know, go see what that's all about.
Right.
A lot of them I can't all play, you know,
That's right.
even
Yeah.
today. With,
Yeah.
I have
Got-
to be
got the-
very careful.
Got the E beside it.
Yeah. So even sometimes when they don't have the E beside them,
Yeah.
sometimes they throw words out there, and I'm like, I think that's explicit,
Yeah,
you know. But
exactly.
anyway, that's
Right,
that's
right.
a whole nother topic.
That dates us, huh? Yeah.
But I think because I create playlists 3 times a week. So, and I try to change them up every week. But it's a fine balance in making all of the people in your class happy, because, you know, I need some old rock and roll, I need some hip hop, I need some, you know,
Country.
top 40.
Hey, there's some, hey, I need to turn you on to some good country.
It's like,
You can send me a couple and I'll try, but like that's probably where I draw the line. You know, it's like, but I
You're
don't
just
know.
not listening to the right country. You're listening to this
Perhaps.
popcorn stuff they call country today. That's not
Maybe.
good stuff. But
she
hey.
would probably like this.
Hey, there's
popular
actually
country.
some dance versions. You know, when I worked in radio back in the '90s, they do these club mixes. Boot Scootin' Boogie
Okay,
was
well,
the
I
first
might-
one that came out.
Send me some and I'll throw them in class and see what happens.
She's like, I'll try.
But it's
it.
hard to like be because I feel like I'm a DJ every week. You know, that
Right.
I'm trying to make all, because everybody, and I can almost tell like when they like it, because it puts off
Right.
some good energy in the room when everybody's like likes their
Well,
songs.
and I'm a big proponent of music. I mean, I'm like you, having that drive back and forth. I'll be blaring music back in the back of our building over there, and everybody's coming back. What are you listening to? What are you doing? But I need to we need to switch up some music, because I've got a gig coming up in October. Going to be talking to like 600 kids, you know, 11th and 12th graders.
Yeah.
So
You're gonna have
I
to
mean, we
get
can hook
real
you up.
current.
yeah,
pretty
real
quick.
current, real hip,
quick,
whatever.
Real,
So-
no more 90s, 2000s.
Exactly.
Well, you're on
Yeah.
TikTok all the time,
Yeah,
so
that's
I mean,
true.
You should
Oh,
be.
you TikTok?
Oh,
No,
he's a TikTok.
I-
You
I
TikTok, or
I
you
haven't-
just like,
No,
are
he
you a
does-
TikTok
He
user?
scrolls
Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah. But the thing is,
Maybe
we're-
that's what you need to do
yeah,
next.
yeah, we're going to work toward that. I think
Oh, we are.
that might be a good thing to start with those kids.
I'm
you
not-
know?
Yes, they could teach you some things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently, there's a new challenge or trend or something. Have you tried watermelon with apparently
Mustard.
French's mustard on it? I haven't tried it. I'm not a big watermelon fan anyway, but everybody said they say it's good.
Yeah.
So maybe Dawson could come up with some challenges for
That's true.
teachers. You know,
Hey,
like,
TikTok
have you tried
challenges.
it?
Well, hey, I will say this, boy, we bird walking big time.
Totally.
But the one that I saw, Veronica, my business manager, she said, "Hey, have you saw that or seen the thing on TikTok where you can scramble an egg on a paper plate?" And I was like, "Nope." Went and looked at it, did it this weekend, and by golly, it works.
No, what do
Yes,
you
it-
do?
You just put a little bit of oil on the bottom of the bottom paper plate, crack your egg on it, and then put another paper plate on top, and anywhere from 60 to 70 seconds, and
In the microwave?
Yeah.
And it's
It just scrambles itself,
It's
or
not
like
scrambled, it's a fried egg.
fried egg.
oh, it's a Friday.
yeah.
Oh.
My wife was like, "This is the ticket," because you know how
my
when you're
goodness.
frying an
Yeah,
egg
yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
dodging all that grease or what have you. So yeah, try it. Yeah, and
You learn all kinds of stuff on TikTok.
exactly. So biggest piece of advice that you got in your life. Doesn't necessarily have to be education. And then probably a piece of advice that you share with many folks.
Oh my gosh. I'll do a Mr. Cook piece of advice on dealing with parents or working with parents. I won't say dealing with, because you've got to work with them and you've got to have them on your side. Is to listen more than they can talk.
That's right. Absolutely.
It's true.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's a
They
great.
need to be heard, and you need to listen.
Absolutely. And it's tough sometimes.
It is
very
tough.
hard.
It's
you
really
know.
hard.
So, and you know, I even take that a step further, because, you know, what they're sending to school, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's the best they have. They don't have a better version of Johnny hanging in the closet they can switch them out with.
It is the best
So,
product that
yeah,
they have.
absolutely. All right. So what's the biggest piece of advice that you give, or, you know?
That's a hard one. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to be in education, you just got to love those kids, and again, take them where they are,
Right.
and learn as much as you can about them. Build a good relationship with them, and most often, if you build that good relationship with them, they will work for you. They will do.
Amen.
Right.
They will do what you need them to do most often, and it's the same with adults. It's the
You're
same
right.
with children. If you can build some sort of a relationship, people will perform. I mean,
Right.
because if people haven't built a relationship with me, I'm
Right.
less likely to want to
Right. Exactly.
step out there and do something.
Engage.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. I mean, you know, everything you do inside, outside, it really does come down to relationships. I find the older I get, I'm 55 now, the older I get, the less I worry about a lot of things too. You know, I look back on it and go, why did I ever even
Right.
think that was a thing? But, you know, by and large, I'm not a big worrier. You know, my wife takes care of that. And at work, Candace is like OCD, takes care of it. So
I'm kind of a worrier a little bit.
kind of.
No, I'm not.
Hey, I know she's worried when she comes and says, I'm not really worried about this.
However,
However,
there's a however or a but coming.
and then I'm sitting there going, okay, 3, 2, 1. She pops back in. I really don't care, but I thought about this part of it. So, but it takes all kinds, as we talked earlier.
Right.
You got to have a big picture person, and as I like to say, the person patching the potholes in front of you, so you don't fall off in one. So,
100%.
Candace is definitely a road worker.
Yes,
So,
I'll
I
definitely.
tell you what I'll do. I'll get you your very
I
own.
need like an orange vest.
Yeah, and I'll get your name on it too.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
All right. All right. Well, we'll let you get out of here, Julie. We appreciate you coming in.
Yes,
It's
been
been a
great.
great conversation today, I think. So, and if you obviously ever need anything, let me know, and I'll tell Candace. That's how that works.
Well, you guys have been great to always help me whenever I've needed help over there at Ouachita, and you always provide great resources for us. So I'm
Yeah.
appreciative of what you guys have always done for us in turn.
Well, it goes back, I think, again, to those relationships, because we're all in the kid business. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid. You know, I mean, we're all in it together, and the only way you're going to make a difference is being a part of it. So,
Yep,
and,
that's right.
and that's the thing. All right. Well, again, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that will do it for this episode of
Wait.
Spilling
What's on the top of your playlist
Top of my playlist.
today? Like if you had to pick one song, what would
Okay,
it be
I'm
today, like right now?
Yeah, I was trying to think. It was definitely country, but I'm trying to think which one it was, because I went with 90s country. And I want to say it was like Joe Diffie, like pickup truck or pickup man that came in. You don't know Joe Diffie. Well,
Oh,
you're
gonna
missing.
have to Google.
You're
that.
missing out.
Okay.
But but yeah, it was 90s. That's the thing about now. That's part of technology I love, because I'll say, "Hey Siri, play me some." I always say upbeat, but she changes it to motivated. I'm like, here is some motivated country. Motivate me. So, but honestly, I listen to all types. I mean,
He does.
I'm constantly, kind of like you're saying, for when we go out and present or something. I want to have some current stuff, but and motivated, not upbeat. But so I listen to all of it too.
Yeah, he does. He'll have stuff in his office, and I'll come back there. We're like, oh, I haven't heard this song in forever.
Yeah. That's what and Beth and I, when she worked here, I mean, there'd be days we'd sit in there we'd go, oh my gosh, we've been in here an hour listening to and talking about music.
Yeah, he
So,
knows I'm not going to do
yeah.
that.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, she's too tense.
She's
to say
back to
that.
work.
I'm back to work. I'm like,
Exactly.
you get 10
Exactly.
minutes.
That's
We'll
right.
joke around, then I'm back to work.
Okay. All right.
Good.
Well, appreciate you. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, and we look forward to, continuous working relationship or whatever we, with OBU. We're blessed down here to have 2 universities, and
Yeah.
and that's the thing. For me is getting to see even this is year 7 for me here at Dawson, but I've already some of the kids that we've met, seeing them get hired for
Yeah.
jobs. So
Right.
that's been
Very
exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this
All
will
right.
wrap it up for this episode of Spilling the Tea in Studio D.